What's up, YouTube? DJ Kryptonite here, the Fight Doctor. Just speaking on some combat sports, boxing primarily. That's what I do. I appreciate all the comments and all the likes that I'm getting on my videos. I really enjoy boxing talk and that sort of thing. But I'm a little concerned about the Errol Spence situation. Reason being is because Errol Spence really hasn't been consistent. Probably for maybe 2 years, 3 years now, maybe because of the COVID situation. Maybe 3 years or so. Because first and foremost, it was the car accident, and that was extremely tragic. I think he was driving under the influence and that sort of thing, and he had it was a horrible accident that he was thrown from the car, and he miraculously he survived, which was great for him and for boxing because he is a talent. And he came back, and nobody really thought he was going to be himself, but you can tell he was a little bit rusty or a little off, so to speak. But he did pretty well on his comeback. But then something else came up. His eye, he had a detached retina or something to that effect. And he had to have surgery on that, so he had to pull out of a fight. So now, I think he's supposed to make an announcement to fight February or March of 2022. And it's probably going to be against Ugas, I would think. I would think that that's probably the fight that he wants, at least to, grab another belt out of the deal. And I think that's what he's going to end up doing. At least I think, yeah, if everything works out the way it's supposed to, I think that's what he probably is going to drive for. However, one of the sanctioning bodies, or a couple of the sanctioning bodies, has made Boots, Jerron Boots Ennis, is mandatory. Now, anytime the sanctioning bodies put somebody to that caliber as your mandatory, I believe the sanctioning bodies are probably getting a little impatient with Errol Spence. And again, this is just my opinion on it. Again, everybody has an opinion. But my thing is, I look beyond the sport, and I look more of the business aspect of it. I think Ennis is more of a marketable tool or commodity at this point. And I think the boxing gods, so to speak, are getting a little fed up with Errol Spence, his decision making, because the detached retina may be could have been a part of the initial car accident, and that could have been some sort of effect, a residual effect from that, or it could have just been could have been in sparring or whatever. Nobody really knows, but I think the sanctioning bodies are getting a little fed up, and they're looking for the next guy. And I think the next guy up is probably going to be Boots. And if that's the case, I think they're going to put the pressure on Errol Spence to fight this guy sooner than later, because you hadn't seen Boots be the mandatory for Crawford. I think the boxing gods or the sanctioning bodies realize that Terrence Crawford is probably not going to make a whole lot of bad decisions. He doesn't have a whole lot of history of it. Although, I think he in his past, he had some issues. I think he ran up in a mechanic shop, and, he was in the news for that. I don't know. I think he threatened a guy or something about his car or something. But that was many years ago, and that probably predated, or just around the time he became like undisputed champ at 140 or something like that. So that's well behind him now. So I don't think that should be held against him. So I think they look at Crawford as a marketable source, as long as he gets away from the Arum thing, and I think he is. I think he's washed his hands and moved away from Arum. So I think he's going to be a free agent, and that's great for boxing, because then Al Heyman can kind of match him up against any of the boxers, any of the welterweights in his stable. And they started that off with Sean Porter, which was it really wasn't a collaboration because it was primarily ESPN who paid for that fight. PBC really didn't even have anything to do with that fight. It was solely promoted by ESPN and Top Rank. However, like I said, I think in one of my previous videos, I think Top Rank probably had to pay some sort of fee to PBC or Al Heyman to even release Sean for that event. I'm sure he got compensated, or PBC got compensated, and I'm sure Sean Porter got paid fairly well for making that move over there before he retired. But anyway, I just feel something. I feel some movement in the welterweight division, and I think it's the business side of it. I think they're trying to put a little pressure on Errol Spence to get his shit together. And again, a lot of his issues have been accidents. They've accidents or some things that he didn't have any control of. But that's kind of subjective, because you do have control over getting behind a wheel and drinking in a Lamborghini or Ferrari or what have you, and flip the car numerous times before you're thrown out of it. So that could have been prevented. And then the retina, it could have been a cause from the car accident. I think people, or like I said, the boxing guys, or even his promotion company, even Al Heyman, may be to a point where, all right, we probably need to look in a different direction. I don't know how healthy Errol Spence is. I don't know how sharp he's going to be when he comes back. We probably need to have some sort of backup plan, or put a plan in place for succession. And succession means Boots Ennis. So I think that's where we're going with this. So don't be surprised if you see the pressure, or they're going to start testing Errol Spence now, like soon and often, to ensure that he's serious about the sport, for one, and he can stay healthy and out of bad decision making. Because ultimately, even in the most recent fights we've seen Errol Spence at, he was intoxicated, and he got thrown from a vehicle at a high rate of speed. He had to be going probably 150 miles an hour in a luxury sports car. And yet and still, he continues to come to these boxing matches. Either he's not all there because of it, or he's still drinking, because he looks as though he's not all there all the time. And I really can't put my finger on it, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a 12-step program, alcohol anonymous guy either. But he either looks under the influence, or cognitively he's not there. And I think it's time. Well, I think they're realizing it may be time to move away from Errol Spence, and I think that's why they put Ennis as his mandatory. And I think that's under multiple sanctioning bodies. So that's going to be key when we look forward in 2022, how quickly they make that transition from Spence to Boots, with Crawford in the side view mirror. So I just don't know how that's going to pan out, but I think Errol Spence, they're going to start to either push him to the side, or they're going to put him up against people that he may not be able to get by. Because Errol Spence, I don't think he's been in a fight where he was the underdog. I don't know, after he beat Kell Brook, or he's shown that he can beat Kell Brook, he hadn't been underdog in years. So I don't know. I'm just a little concerned for my boy, because I really do like Errol Spence. So we'll see where it goes. Anyway, DJ Kryptonite out. Like, subscribe, all of those things, and let me know what you think. Talk to you.